Welcome to Catholic Messenger Conversations with Bishop Thomas Zinkula and me, your host, Barbara Arlen Fye from the Catholic Messenger. And Bishop, I think this is our last podcast together. Maybe not. Maybe when you're in the Archdiocese of Dubuque, we can have you as a guest podcast person.
We'll see if I could fit you in, maybe.
Oh, maybe. I know you can.
No, it's very sad after all these podcasts, and it's been fun. And
yeah.
Good things come to an end eventually, unfortunately.
Exactly, yeah. Well, so I thought this could be sort of your farewell podcast where we ask you some questions about your 6 years as a bishop of the Diocese of Davenport, where you started as a baby bishop, right?
Over 6 years.
So now are you like a teen bishop then, or what? Or are you a fully
adolescent
or something like that?
Yeah.
Well, so I was wondering, how have you grown in your role as bishop?
Well, I see that as more of a dynamic than a static.
Okay.
Like, so I'm still growing. I can talk about ways that I'm growing.
Uh-huh.
It's, initially you're trying to figure out what this is, being a bishop, and just feeling that role and sensing how people react to you, in that role. And so it's just sort of getting comfortable with it. So it's not this thing this shirt that I put on that I wear, but it's actually the skin. It's my skin, right? So that took a while. It took a while, and I think now it's okay. I'm the bishop, and I'm not, like at the grocery store at Hy-Vee or someplace, and people kind of look at me differently, and sometimes they'll say something, but often they won't, and I know, okay, they're recognizing me, and I'm conscious of that, and I'm not anymore. It's like, I'm careful not to, do something that would, distract from that role. But yeah, so I'm more comfortable with it. I think I've more confidence in the role in terms of, I'm still, hopefully I'm collaborative and everything, but, and not just, it's all about what I want to do and everything, but I think I'm more confident. I'm more stronger, and hopefully a holy way.
That's great.
In terms of what I want to do and things. So those are a couple of things.
A couple of ways. So what lessons or insights do you take with you as the Archbishop of Dubuque from these years here?
Yeah. One thing, and this relates to your first question in terms of growth, something I am working on is, so as bishop, the buck stops there, and you have, you make these decisions, and so there's these groups, but they're consultative mostly. Mm-hmm. So I listen to them, and then I determine what I'm going to do, but hopefully I listen carefully to them and everything, because I don't have it all figured out, and people have lots of gifts that they can bring to the table, and experience and everything, wisdom. So one thing I've been kind of thinking about the last year or so, I've been recognizing that, I listen to people, and I consider myself to be a good listener, but I don't think, and the synodal process has helped me to kind of work on this. I don't listen as deeply as I think I do, so when I go to Dubuque, I'm going to continue to try to improve on this, where sometimes I speak too quickly. There's this consultative body, this consultative group, and as soon as I say something, that colors things for people.
Yes.
They're going to just naturally, this is where the bishop's at, even subconsciously, and kind of go along with that. And so I think too often I speak too quickly. It's one thing to ask clarifying questions or just basic things, but in terms of a decision, kind of, talking in terms of like a decision where we're going to go with something, I need to, and I'm going to try to, I've learned here that I need to, so before I get into you get into develop patterns, with, in terms of your style and with groups, and before I get into certain patterns, when it's all new, I'm just going to try to listen more deeply and let them throw things around before I say anything of substantive nature.
That's a good idea. I'll try to practice that myself.
Yeah, that's one thing anyway.
What if, oh.
I mean, I've also learned that, like one thing that it's been fruitful for me here is that, there's so many things you can focus on. I mean, some things you obviously have to; they're really important things. But and even those things that you need to do something with, and it's kind of related to what I just said. But people, when somebody has a passion about something here, and I'm, something we're going to do something anyway, but they want to kind of go in this direction or that direction with it. That's been really fruitful. Where I kind of kind of support that and encourage.
Oh, that's
that.
cool.
And those, a lot of times those have led to some really significant things.
Can you give me an example of that?
Well, I would say, like what we're doing with Laudato Si with Kent Ferris.
Yeah.
He's all over it. We should do
Yes.
something with that anyway. But so I'm to support. I can suggest this and that, and okay, let's think about this and that, whatever. But there's like that's an example. And now we've got a plan, and we're doing some stuff, and that wouldn't have happened maybe if it was just me sort of totally directing that whole thing.
Yes.
So let him kind of put something out there. It'd be kind of what we've been doing. We have this synergy group that we
Yes.
the leaders of different departments that are more pastorally oriented and hands-on ways. It's been in terms of where we're at with the synod and welcoming and belonging. That was very organic.
I was just going to say that it seems like it just all sort of folds into the other really well, like the Holy Spirit is guiding that.
Definitely the Spirit. We're open to the Spirit, but as a group we are.
Yes.
So we're listening to each other, and it's together. So it's not like, the bishop, okay, he wants to do this and that. I mean, ultimately, I need to sign off on things, but together as a group, we're finding our way, and we're open to the Spirit. That's been very enjoyable.
Very, very fruitful.
Fruitful, yeah.
Wow, that's great. I'm wondering, what have been some of your most memorable experiences as our bishop here?
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about the flashy ones,
Yeah, like RAGBRAI? No, I'm just kidding.
RAGBRAI. No, like RAGBRAI, that got a lot of attention, and it was fun, but also was fruitful.
Yeah.
In terms of evangelization, getting the church out there and on the peripheries and where folks are at, and going to India to give the Ashman Terrace was. Who would have thought? That would be something I'd be doing here. But so those are cool. Those things.
Yeah.
Going to Guatemala more recently to visit this religious community that's sending 3 sisters here, and that in Vietnam. This summer with Father Dominic, and being there and doing some things there. Those are all kind of cool kind of things. But Ireland,
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Pilgrimage, things like that. But then even, okay, fine, flashy kind of things, whatever. But the day-to-day things. What was your question again?
But the most memorable experiences.
Yeah, so just the day-to-day things are, going to some place for confirmation, and I always meet with the kids, the candidates ahead of time, and when there's a good conversation, or there's, I'm subbing for a priest for a weekend. I'm able to kind of just be a pastor, kind of, parish kind of pastor, for a weekend, and be in there, school mass, some celebration like Hispanic sort of. It's not just Hispanic, but Our Lady of Guadalupe or Posada, or at the cathedral at the Vietnamese community, like a Chinese New Year thing, whatever. Just day-to-day stuff like that. Those things bring joy to my heart.
Well, that makes an impression. When I was talking to some students at Regina, they were talking about, well, I remember when Bishop had conversations with us during confirmation. So that stuck with them, and what you had to say, that was really conversational, and that you put them at ease. That, it's kind of intimidating to meet a bishop, but you helped them to feel at ease about it. They understood who you were, but they also understood that you're human.
Yeah.
And that was really
right. So
important.
those kinds of, I've just shared just a few examples, but those kind of day in the life of normal sorts of things you do, going to prisons, and those masses,
cool.
those are meaningful. Lots of things.
Mm-hmm.
Those are more significant than the bigger kinds of things like going to some foreign country or whatever.
Now, this may be a question out in the left field, but what or who has really helped you most in your role as bishop?
Yeah, I don't know. There's, other bishops, of course.
Mm-hmm.
They know this world better than anybody. So the other bishops in Iowa, we have a Zoom meeting once a month, and we're together for different things. Iowa Catholic Conference, and there's these USCCB meetings, and times when we get together for different things in person. So bouncing things off of each other, though, for me that's been really helpful, and they're like right here, close by, and same province. So they've been helpful. I think, although they're not bishops, my priest support group. I stayed in that group because it's close by, and I couldn't be in a group here,
right,
with the priests here because I'm the bishop, but I'm, and those guys from Dubuque, I'm not their bishops. I don't care. Who cares?
Will be now.
No. So I can't. So my last meeting with them was on Monday.
Oh, that's interesting. So you'll have to get a new group.
Well, probably not. Like, what's it going to be?
Well, it could be other.
Yeah, it could be bishops, maybe.
Yeah.
Somehow, maybe right now there's just two of us, and Bishop Nicholas is going to be retired.
Yeah.
So there'll be two new bishops here and in Sioux City. So
because everybody needs a group, don't they?
No, they do, and we were kind of doing some of that with our monthly things. We were kind of that was a little bit it could be a more significant kind of a thing where we're. Yeah, so those guys have been. I mean, they're the ones I share my stuff with. And we kind of talk about kind of what's going on in our lives each time, and take a chunk of time for that. Everybody just listens, and then we kind of talk about things. But so they've been really helpful to keep in terms of somebody to bounce things off of. I could never do that with priests here.
Right.
So, and they know priest, bishop. There's some things they wouldn't understand as well, but
right.
But the basic sort of ministry kinds of things they would.
Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting. And then I'm just wondering, what has been your greatest challenge? In our diocese?
No, it was COVID for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was 2 or 3 years and kind of getting rolling with things, and then COVID shut things down, and then now we've kind of gotten things going again. So that for me, it's sort of like been here 6 years, but it's different because of COVID.
Yeah.
There's kind of some lost time in there. Not that we didn't do anything, but
right.
So that was, and then just. It's this unknown virus, and we don't know how it's spreading, and then trying to determine what it is, precautions we should take for safety measures for safety reasons, and then the polarization over that.
Yes.
And then people just upset no matter what way you go with it, and you're just trying to keep people safe, and we don't know, so you kind of go overboard, of course. And there's hospitals filling up, and emergency rooms, and intensive care units, and nurses and doctors, just all this pressure on them, and stress, and so trying to, older people, more susceptible, and just trying to keep people safe. That was hard.
So in the throes of that, how did you what were some of the things that you learned from that experience, or what when you were going through it? You had to change course, didn't you, a little bit, or did you stay on?
Yeah, no, of course, we're constantly, as the more we learn about things, and then finding there's the vaccine, and
right.
And then we learn more about, it's spread through the air, and that's why it changes things until you adjust to that. But I mean, one thing that lots of things we learned we could have done better, at the parish level and probably diocesan as well, staying in touch with people,
right?
And be more intentional about that, ways of doing that. But for me, as time went on, I recognized that we needed to do a balancing thing, where there's safety really important, and and trying to minimize the risks for folks, and so that's really important. But then also, we're recognizing the isolation was hard, for mental health reasons, and we do need to be together, and so there's how do you balance that out where people need to be together sometimes, and in certain ways, but just have some, but still try to make that as safe as possible in terms of how you do that. So there's there's going to be people who die because of that, right? So just how that it's important to balance, to do the balancing act with something.
And you talked about, you told me at one time about, can you talk a little bit about the ministry to people who were very, very ill and hospitalized in COVID, that you and some of the priests?
Yeah, no, what we had a plan for a long time for a pandemic. I mean, we had a plan, very spelled out, and of course you have to adjust it because everyone's different. So we had a plan where we did adjust this. It was kind of like one priest in each deanery or something that was going to be the priest who would be the one who ministered to people who had the virus, in this case COVID. So we adjusted that because it didn't seem like we needed to have one in every single deanery, right? So we just had a couple, one initially, and so that person was well trained, had all the precautionary equipment and clothing and stuff, and trained. Here's how to do it, and so that person was. No one knew who it was because we didn't want people to contact them directly, but they'd contact Deacon Frank, right? Who is a physician, and also in terms of liturgy, in charge of liturgy and just that pandemic planning stuff. So they'd contact him, and there's just somebody in a hospital or care center or private home. They have COVID and they want the sacraments, and so the priest would go and minister to them. Initially, he'd be quarantined for like a week or two,
Oh, wow.
because he'd been exposed. And so then that starts, kind of weighing on you after a while.
Right.
With that, just being isolated and stuff. So then I'd ask somebody else to do it, more so like a younger priest who wasn't as vulnerable, taking a risk on behalf of the faithful. So to be somebody who's doing it for a while, and then somebody else, and then finally I just started doing it myself because I'm a little bit older and stuff, so but I'm in good health, and I'm like, if I'm asking these guys to do it, I didn't really know who else to ask at that point, and so I just started doing it, and this a very interesting kind of thing to go and somebody has COVID and you try not to be too much time in the room or too close, and wear all that gear and stuff. That was, one of the priests the first priest that did it, he updated his will and things.
Wow.
Before he did it, he started. That was those early
Pretty
days.
selfless.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
I mean, but was that a moving experience for you? I mean, was it?
Yeah, very much. Yeah, I mean, just that whole thing. It's this scary disease, and there's these. It could only be a couple family members, and and they're all have all this stuff on as well, and their loved ones dying, and
that must have been really amazing.
It was, and then, and at that point. We weren't isolating. After a while, we kind of got a sense of what we maybe didn't need to do that, but I'd go back and take a shower, wash the clothes, and whatever. But,
wow. That's pretty amazing. I'm wondering too, what have been among your most satisfying or significant accomplishments as bishop of the diocese?
I don't know. I mean, we've been focusing on evangelization, and we said that early on, and we did our Vision 2020 stuff, and now we've kind of jumped on it again after the well, it's not totally done with the virus, but now that we've gotten through that difficult time with COVID, and we've picked it up again, and we kind of jumped on in the synod. It kind of fits perfectly with that. The things that people are saying that in their listening sessions that we need to work on, they're of that nature, evangelizing, right? Welcoming and belonging, and youth and young adults, and all the stuff that So that's we're moving with that, and it's hopefully it continues to pick up steam over time and stuff, and you got to build on it.
Right.
But so that's been a significant.
And that's been very organic too, hasn't it? I mean, it's almost like it just picked up where it left off in a way, didn't it?
It kind of did. It kind of
the synod.
Yeah, I think it did, and I think that being open to the Spirit, and that's. We can do exactly what the Pope wanted us to do with the synod.
Yeah.
Listening, and then here's what we heard, and it's basically evangelization kinds of things. And so, okay, they're doing their thing in Rome now, and next October, fine, wherever that goes. But meanwhile, we're just continuing with it. So that's been a huge thing for us, and it's we're just beginning, really. It's
right.
So I mean, it's something we need to continue to build on. So that's one thing that was.
What are a couple of others you mentioned? Maybe.
Oh, I mean, it could be a number of things. Here we are at St. Ambrose, and recording this, but and we've been working closely with St. Ambrose on some things. That's
right.
Those are works in progress early on, but they've been really good. And more currently. So we talked about Laudato Si, what we're doing with that, and that's just kind of early on with that. And then for 2.5 years or more than that, we've had this gender committee, and today we're publishing our document on that.
That's right.
So that's a long time in coming, and it's a very, significant, delicate issue right now in our culture. So we're kind of, here's where we're at on that, and so that's been a long project, and just today is kind of where we're. And
it's so pastoral. It's just you really, really put heart into it. Did you? Heart and prayer and discernment into that.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, every people are putting out their things, and we're kind of all finding our way in this thing. And here's our approach to it. I'm not saying, this is the be-all and end-all and everything else is not good, but here's what makes sense for us in terms of how to address this. So we don't deal with the really hard issues, transitioning, and gender-affirming care and all that, those kinds of things. We don't get into that. We just take people where they are, and then and welcome them and walk with them,
And that's what Pope Francis
listen to them,
calls
right? So we just try to avoid the polarizing kinds of things. We have to deal with things like pronouns and names and sports and bathrooms and clothing and the schools and stuff.
Right.
We'll need to address those things, but we've decided to take a case by case approach.
Right.
Here's this person or this family. Let's listen to them. Let's walk with them. Let's figure it out. Or this school, this parish, whatever. And it's not. There's not. There's some gray areas, and so let's just work our way through that. And every situation's different, and it's more work this way.
It's all about accompaniment, though, isn't it? Just like with every issue you've had to deal with in these 6 years, hasn't it been? I mean, it really. The bottom line is you have to accompany people, and
it's a synodal approach. I mean, that's in terms of, you asked me something I've learned. Everything. Pope Francis I think he's on the right track with. And it's not brain science or anything.
Yeah.
It's just encountering folks and truly encountering them, and
right.
And be open to this person, maybe they're very, very different than you are, or different opinions than you do, and then to listen deeply to them. And then eventually, of course, that leads to dialogue, but then, for the community to discern the path forward, and then to accompany, one another. It's Christian, right? It's the right thing to do.
And people are lonely. People have been isolated after COVID. I think people are going through really still tough time, don't you think?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So anyway, I'm wondering too, any disappointments? I'm just wondering, any disappointments you've had regarding these 6 years?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've my human limitations and weaknesses, and I see those kind of have gotten in the way of what I would like to do sometimes, right? 'Cause, just human nature. So there's, gosh, if I was this other kind of a bishop that has these gifts, then I could have done, maybe something, better in this area or that area or whatever, and whatever. So there's, so I'm not saying disappointment. I'm disappointed in myself because I'm not God or something, No, I mean, so it's like, I don't know, that's disappointed not the right word for that, but I'm disappointed in terms of human nature as well. I look back on things and I could have handled this situation better or that situation better, more pastorally. I've hurt people probably, and by word or deed, whatever. And so, I mean, I'm disappointed in that. I'm sorry about that, and I hope people can forgive me for any ways that they've been hurt, by my Episcopal ministry.
Oh, yeah.
So
I think they appreciate that. So I'm wondering, you have said you don't like goodbyes. That's hard. But I'm wondering, you've been dealing with goodbyes now for 3 months since the announcement?
Yep.
I mean, it's just one constant goodbye, isn't it? Does every event become a goodbye?
Yep. Everyone. Every single one. So
how do you handle that?
No, I mean, because I'm going someplace and it's for a certain thing, and so let's just focus on that, and but it becomes then a focus on me as well. Usually at the end, and I understand that. Of course, for them, that's not to just ignore that. Would be that people would feel like that's unkind, So they need to name it, and that's fine. It's just, I'm an introvert, and that's a lot of attention on me. It's just it's uncomfortable. So I'm trying to roll with it and try to bring it back around to kind of what it is we're here for actually. But yeah, so that's, for me, it's one thing at the Chancery at the St. Vincent Center. People are, we talk about it constantly because I'm there. But when I am out and about, I'm here, I'm there. So it's always the first time, almost always, for them to say goodbye. Yeah. So it's everywhere. 3 months. I know it's really.
So is this God testing your patience a little bit?
Well, it's not so much patience. It's just sort of
checking you on the humility factor.
Yeah, I guess
right?
maybe. Yeah, just maybe patience a little bit. But no, it's good. I mean, people, they obviously, God bless them. They mean well, and they want to express what they want to express, and
yeah.
So
what about the transition itself in terms of I'm just wondering for transitions, how you deal with them, your prayer life. How's that affect your prayer life and
well, I mean, you have less time to pray when you're scrambling, to pack boxes like these days. I don't know. For me, transition, I've had lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of transitions. Mm-hmm. This is the longest I've ever been in one place.
Wow.
In the same place doing the same thing since I left home to go to college.
Wow.
The longest I've ever been and otherwise in the same place doing the same thing it's been 4 years. So it's been 6 years. I've moved a ton, Barb.
Wow.
And so it's this constant. You're there for a while, and then you pack your things up and move on. And so anyway, But one thing I've learned in these transitions is that it's a time of grace. You have an opportunity to learn a lot about yourself and about just life and things, because you kind of, once you're there in this place, you develop these routines and these patterns. You kind of put on blinders and you just move forward. It's just the way it is. You don't even have to think about it. And, okay, here's what I do. Here's who I am. And now, when you're there, there's a time in between one assignment and another assignment, or one job, another job, whatever, where things are shaken up, and and you're out of your normal patterns, and you can see some things more if you're praying about it, and you can see some things more clearly about yourself and about the world, about God, about life, about this, this new place that you're at, that you wouldn't be able to see otherwise. If you, I don't know if you understand that.
Yeah.
So so for example, then when I go to Dubuque, even though I'm going home and everything, but it's been 6 years, I've never been the bishop there. I'll be able to see some things more clearly, being this is all new and fresh, that I won't be able to see after a while, because I'll get used to the way things are. So I kind of sometimes even jot things down. Okay, here's an impression that I had, or here's something I'm wondering about this or that.
That's interesting.
And before I forget, and then maybe don't deal with them all right away. So so that's just in terms of the job, but in terms of just myself too. Just think about you go on RAGBRAI. Okay, we're talking RAGBRAI. You're looking at things differently.
Yeah.
You're out of your normal thing.
Oh yeah.
There's things that you can perceive that you wouldn't if it was, if you're back in your regular kind of a life thing, or you go on vacation somewhere, and you're away from your normal deal. You just there's opportunities for grace and for growth in those experiences.
And that's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah. So I used to sometimes I'll just take off a couple of weeks at those times. And just to kind of be more reflective, and rather than jumping from one thing into another.
Right.
With the spiritual exercises, they'll say, especially like for the 30-day silent thing, in a time of transition, that's a really good time to do that.
Wow.
So.
Have you ever done the 30-day silent?
Yeah, no, I did once.
The whole
in
30
between,
days silent.
Yeah, when I was leaving parish ministry and going to become an Episcopal vicar in Dubuque, so I was going from parish hands-on to more administrative role. I took off. Usually, you have three months for sabbatical, but the Archbishop Hannes gave me 6 months. So I started with spiritual exercise 30-day. Ignatian thing in Colorado. So I did that. I started with that, and then I went to Rome for a canned sort of sabbatical program at North American College they have, and then I went to India for 2 months. That's when I went from Rome to India.
Right. Okay.
So although that time was really wonderful, refreshing, renewing time.
Wow.
And all three of those things were very
different.
Very different, but it's a very right. You're not. It's definitely not. You're in your routine, especially in India.
Wow. Yeah.
So those are times of a lot opportunities for growth.
Wow, that's amazing. I just have a couple other questions. What are your hopes for the Diocese of Davenport as you leave?
Oh well, I hope people continue on with what we've gotten going. And when I came here, that's what I try to do is, okay, here's what they have going, and rather than just totally changing everything. Obviously, and eventually you kind of move in a certain direction, whatever. But so hopefully that happens. Hopefully I hope that that I've made a difference here. That people are closer to the Lord because of my ministry here, and not just my hands-on thing, but other things that in terms of my policies, and we're just working with people and groups and things. I hope that that they get the new bishop is the right person, and kind of takes it to the next level. So there's a few things.
That's great. And my last question is, what advice would you give to the future bishop of the Diocese of Davenport?
Yeah, so one thing would be to just keep, to continue with the things, the kind of the direction that the predecessors have set, not just me, but Bishop Amos and Bishop Franklin for him. So we've been moving a certain direction as a diocese, and there's a certain flavor that you have as a diocese. And so for somebody to come in and then kind of, well, I'm going to change this whole thing dramatically that fits me, kind of it's all about kind of me, where I'm at with things, that wouldn't be good. So to kind of continue on with, there's good people here, and there's good things happening, and that be sort of the foundation, and build, keep building on that. I would say to take his time to get to know people before you do. And people always say, don't do anything major, until you've been there for a year. Well, but just get to know people, so there can be there can develop a relationship and level of trust, and get around to parishes as much as possible. If you can sub, especially, that's great. For a weekend, that you get to know the parish really well that way.
It's great.
So just to get around and meet a lot of people.
We never got to have you as a sub bishop or as a sub presider at our parish. How come?
Well, because you didn't. Because I put out, okay, here's free weekends. Anybody?
Darn.
I don't know. Maybe I never was. I don't know.
I don't know.
Whenever I have a free weekend, I put it out, and so guys,
okay.
They usually just take off. They have something planned, or whatever. And
are people pretty surprised when you do that? When you just show up, or do
well,
they know
they
you're coming?
usually tell them. They
okay.
know. I mean, they usually it's in the bulletin or something.
That's awesome.
I wish it was more of a surprise, because
that would be very cool.
But yeah, no. To get around to the parishes would be in one way or another. It would be really important.
Well, at any rate, thank you so much for being a podcast partner for Catholic Messenger Conversations. Sure. This has been a great ride on the journey, on the pilgrim journey of life.
No,
right?
It's been, thank you, Barbara. It's been fun. And another goodbye. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. One more.
One more. Goodbye. But we'll be back. Catholic Messenger Conversations will continue. Stay with us.